afternoon. Thank you for joining our session on AI, which starts with data. So my name is Jetro Borsje and I'm the Chief Product and Technology Officer of Lobster, and I will take you through this session today. So let's take a minute and think, because AI is everywhere nowadays, obviously, right? You see it everywhere. If you go to the cinema or to the shop or at home when you use ChatGPT, it's everywhere today. However, I would like to ask you one thing honestly, and I want you to really think about it. How many of you here today really trust the data that you have, that you need for your AI initiatives? And I mean really trust it. Because if you do not trust your data, it doesn't really matter what else you do with AI. AI is all about using proper time critical data. So, lots of AI initiatives are failing nowadays, and the reason is not because of the models or the AI algorithms or anything like that. The reason often is that the data is not properly ready when you want to use your AI tool. So the question is, why are we still talking about AI as if our data problem is solved? Because you all know in our organizations, the reality is different. And with supply chains, I would say this is an increasingly complex problem, because supply chains are not singly connected systems. It's actually a whole big ecosystem of different connected dots, right? So there's a real gap. There's a blind spot between what you see inside your organization and what you see on the outside of your organization, outside your four walls. Think about data with your suppliers, your carriers, your third-party logistics providers. So the gap between your strategy and your execution, that's also where your AI initiatives will fail. And the root cause of this problem is complexity. Complexity and fragmentation, because data all along the supply chain is typically fragmented. It's hundreds of disconnected dots. It's not one or two systems. That's not where your supply chain lives. It's different formats, different protocols, different partners, different countries, rules, regulations, compliancy, all held together by workarounds and manual effort. And this is the insight I think that most customers or people, organizations miss. Because if you do not close that gap between what's inside your organization and outside of your organization, nothing else matters. You will not be able to benefit from AI truly. The shocking reality is that for a typical business decision that you make along your supply chain, only 20% of the data that you need to make the decision sits actually inside your own organization, inside your four walls. 80% actually sits outside of your four walls. With your suppliers, your carriers, your logistics service providers, your customers, that's where 80% of mission critical data is trapped. Now let that number sink in. That means that you are making mission critical decisions on only 20% of the data if you do not fully connect automatically with your outside world. And this is the challenge AI has too, because AI is blind just like us, right? It cannot act on what it cannot see. So if you do not have access real time to this external data as well, there's no way for you to benefit from AI. And this is how your data becomes a strategic asset, I would say, in this world of artificially driven intelligence. Now, at Lobster, we are the execution backbone of the supply chains of our customers. We've been in this business for over 20 years, and we are really focused on supply chain, building a digital infrastructure for organizations which both connect internal systems as well as external data sources. We are processing over 35 billion integration flows every year for 2,000 different customers, which makes us really the central nervous system for these customers. We do that actually by providing our customers with a generic set of platform services, meaning you can run our technology everywhere you want, because we feel control and freedom of choice are fundamental in the current geopolitical landscape, if you will. So you can deploy our data integration platform everywhere you want, including our AI capabilities. Then you can actually, with that, use our integration capabilities, meaning that you can use our ADI and our API management capabilities, connecting to data and applications all along the supply chain, and then visualize them, do process automation, and keep humans in the loop. As I will show you in a moment, there are many cases where human in the loops are still needed. We facilitate that as well. And then all the way at the top, what we offer is a supply chain collaboration capability, which allows you to do self-service onboarding with all of your trading partners. The reason for this is that we want to make it as self-service as possible for you to connect with those external data sources. So if your partners can self-service onboard, providing the necessary certificates, the necessary files, all of that stuff, you can do it in an automated way, meaning that you have less manual work. Now, I would like to talk you through this with a couple of two use cases, actually. So let's look at some fictional companies. We have Adventure Engineering. They're a manufacturer, and they manufacture outdoor equipment. So think about hiking poles or kayaks. And we also have Summit Gear. Summit Gear is a retailer. So they sell this outdoor equipment, which they buy from Adventure Engineering, and they sell it to their, let's say, consumers, their customers. And in between sits A to Z Logistics, who actually do the shipping between these two organizations. I would like to show you how AI and data can play a key role to solve real business challenges for organizations like this. So let's start with Summit Gear. They are a retailer, like I told you, and the challenge here is that they get a lot of claims. You know, when you're in retail and you ship goods to consumers, things get damaged, right? Whether you like it or not, you ship a good, maybe an expensive kayak, you ship it to your customer, it gets damaged along the way. This leads to time-consuming work because manual labor is going to be happening, right? Experts get involved, partners need to get coordinated. Do we have a replacement good? Is it a high-value good? Can I just ship it, yes or no? And maybe on the flip side of that, if it's a low-value good, you may want to do straight-through processing, where AI just analyzes the claim coming in natural language, analyze it, make all the decisions for you, order the good, ship it, and process everything further downstream. It's a typical process where there are high-value and low-value things going on at the same time, and AI in the middle who could orchestrate all of this, if only AI, like in the picture, can connect with all of the systems that you need. So your point of sale system, your ERP, maybe Microsoft Teams to orchestrate some of those experts that you need all along the way, your CRM as well. Now, I see many organizations struggling with automating these types of processes because their data is spread across these systems, including, for example, their supplier systems or their logistics service provider. Now, many organizations then think, let me start with updating my ERP, right? Because it's the core of almost everything that we do. So let's start there because my ERP vendor promises me we will be AI ready when you buy and implement our new ERP system. However, upgrading an ERP, that would say that's the option behind door number one. That's the expensive option because we all know a typical ERP project takes around 18 to 36 months. And at the same time, in 55 to 75% of the cases, it runs out of budget and out of time. That's behind door number one. Behind door number two, we would have a radically different approach because what you can also do is put a data platform on top and turn your existing core systems into AI-enabled resources without having to do any investments in your existing core systems. You know them, you love them, you have them already around, they work. Why touch them if with some smart technology you can make them AI-enabled and then use them in this landscape? That's what we do with our Lobster data platform as an example. And I would like to show you a little bit what that looks like in practice. So let's take a look.
Particularly with small value goods, as soon as the person is involved, you've lost money. However, there are ways to improve that, and as Jethro said, with the systems you have today. Let's take a look at how this can work. These are all claims that have been processed here. Let's go in and see what's happening. This claim has been processed by AI and has been defined as low priority, and we should just replace the product. Now, you might be finding out, how did AI come up with this? Well, it has access to the emails out of your email system. And we can also find out why. What's the logic behind it? We have here the reasoning of AI. So in a call to our AI agent, we ask them, say, why did you set this particular priority? So non-urgent, issue is minor. The customer it's not a safety hazard or anything like that, and it's a low-value item. Replacement parts are readily available. So what we've done here is process the claim, decided the priority, found out whether it's worth spending any time of a person involved, and actually taken care of the claim being processed in the background. That makes things like this actually very quick to get done, and the customers are satisfied because you're answering very quickly. This all can happen without a human being involved. Now you might wonder then, if everything's being processed automatically, how am I keeping on track of this? I don't want to log into the system every day. Well, with Lobster, of course, you can connect any sort of communication system. In this case, we actually have customer service, Teams chat. And in this Teams chat, we of course want to make sure that when it's a difficult claim, something that's really important, we want to get involved. But let's jump into this one. This claim is a little bit different. As soon as it starts up here, we'll take a look at this. This claim involves a broken kayak. A kayak is not a small value item. So let's take a look at what's happening here. Here the kayak has said, oh, it's a platinum customer. It's actually the Federal Training Center for Canoe Slalom. We want to take care of them because these are the people going off and showing off kayaks. So they have an event in just 10 days. We need to have it shipped very quickly, and we don't have one available at the moment. This is a high value item. We need to get a person involved in this actual task. So let's take a look and see how these things happen and show what we have here to do. For example, here in this particular case, we've also had the AI has created options for us. So AI has gone out, looked at the available options, and recommended various things. Let's take a look at some of the other options as well, though, that it looked at. It looked at upgrading the actual kayak and sending us there, but they wanted this exact kayak. These are professionals. They know exactly what they want. In this particular case, then, we could have gone up from a store. However, we don't have anything available in the store. We had to check that, of course, then. In this particular case, we could go up from the manufacturer. However, it would take longer, and it's a higher cost. The recommended thing is to ship it from our Berlin warehouse. All the advantages are checked here, and that's been taken care of working completely by AI. Now, what we might want to do here is figure out, well, how did he get all this information? How does this actually work? Well, let's show you what Lobster actually does here. This is our MCP server. This is actually where we're connecting these back-end systems. If you want to take a look at what we're connecting to, we have a process map. What we have here is every system we're connected to in the background. We have point of sale in the stores. We have ERP data. We've accessed the supplier's information here as well. We're calculating CO2 costs. Obviously, we're an outdoor company. We want to make sure that we're environmentally there. All of these things are available to the AI agent to process these cases. Now, you might say that's good, but what really happened? Well, let me show you actually that as well. This was claim number 51. So let's sort on that. And what you can see here now is every single thing that this claim did. In this particular case here, I've got a claim description. I got information on the customer CRM. I got store inventory. I can even see the information that's being sent for the request, and I can also track what's going back. Every piece of data flowing is tracked by Lobster. I can go in and see this. Now, when I actually go out here and choose this one, then I also want something to happen. At this point, I actually want something to go on here. So let's go back and see what happens here as well. In this particular case as well, we're going from about 46 entries. Now we've got 48. So we've actually created an order to ship this from the Berlin warehouse to the customer, and we send a resolution mail to the email. All of that in existing systems without any changes to the flows you have, and all completely controlled by Lobster because we log and monitor every single piece of data flowing.
So that's an example of how you can turn various systems that you have into a unified AI-driven process automation or a real-life workflow. Now, the way we did it is by keeping all of the core systems of the customer intact. We put our Lobster data platform in front of the core systems that were already there, and then through our MCP server, turned them into AI-enabled resources. Now, this allows you to unlock the potential of AI without replacing your core systems, and at the same time, your data stays yours. So you can bring your own large language model. Your data stays inside your core systems. All security applies, your policies apply wherever it runs on-prem, in your private cloud, whatever you want, it stays there. We just act as the glue in between to make all of this happen without compromising your security. Because your data needs to stay yours. And this is, in my point of view, at least the most effective way, the most cost-effective way, I would say, to get to AI-enabled outcomes. Now, what that means is that we could turn these core systems into AI-enabled resources without the system replacement needed. But at the same time, the bigger picture is that you, with this approach, can get to a single governed integration landscape, because you saw how we were logging all of the data flowing through the systems and how you can see a process map. That means that if when your AI initiatives start to grow, you do not get to this situation where all these things connect separately and you get a huge spaghetti of dependencies, which is hard to manage and which will become a compliancy and security liability. With this in place, you keep a single view on all your AI automated processes, and you have full control and visibility and transparency of which data flows from which data point to which other data point or connection point. It means full control and no fragmentation in your landscape, which I think is key when this starts to scale. We can take a look at another example. Because of the time, I will explain it more verbally. So let's imagine now the manufacturing side of this, adventure engineering. They produce these kayaks or hiking poles and things like that, and they do business with a lot of specialty stores, so small organizations. And as we know, many of these smaller organizations often lack real automation capabilities. So they might still send you that email with an order PDF attached to it, right? Or an email even with some natural language in there explaining which articles they want to order from you. Well, that's a real challenge for these manufacturers because it means unstructured data, manual error-prone processes to get these orders into their ERP system. This happens still a lot, I see at organizations around us. Again, a case where AI can definitely help. Because what you can do is you can put AI in the middle. You could actually say, listen, all those emails come in with all those PDFs. And what I see many organizations then do, we grab the PDF, we send it to some kind of PDF scan service in the cloud. You get nicely back the orders and the order lines, and then you process it further downstream. However, there's one problem with that, because this is exactly where reality is different from what you see internally in your organization, because over time, you will change your article numbers, or you update your price list, or you may decommission a bunch of articles. And I'm sure you sent all of these updated article lists to all of your customers. However, some of these small ones missed the email, or did not properly automate this, or did not properly process this into their administration. That means they will send you orders with a wrong article number, or with the old price, for example, or with a wrong discount. Now your third-party PDF scan tool will not recognize this, right? They don't know your context. All of these AI tools are trained on general purpose data. So they're great at recognizing a PDF. They're not so great at understanding the situation in which you live, your own context, your proprietary data. So instead of just throwing it to an OCR tool, what we see our successful customers doing is they get the email with the PDF. They recognize it's about an order. They get relevant price information or article information from their ERP through our data integration platform. They combine that information and send that to an AI tool to recognize the PDF and then check also right away if the orders and order lines make sense based on their own internal reality. Because if you use AI without real-time contextual data, it can be 100% accurate, but also 100% wrong, because it cannot take into consideration your internal reality. And this is why I think it's so important to first invest into your data strategy before you go, let's say, crazy on all these different AI tools out there. Because if you do not have the ability to use real-time contextual data to increase accuracy, you will be challenged by getting to some real return on investment. Because AI will struggle to understand whatever data is coming in your world. And I think this is a key thing to take away. So this is an important part, I would say. Really get your data strategy in order before you start with your AI strategy. Now, let's think about your own supply chain network. Because I'm sure many of you connect to a large amount of different organizations out there. So I want you to do something for me. Think about your network and think about how many different organizations do you connect with? Maybe externally. Maybe it's 10, 20, 50, 100, 500. We have customers with thousands of trading partners even. Now combine that with your internal systems. Maybe 5, 10, 20, 30, right? Now that combination, that's what needs to get connected. Now if you think about those trading partners, with how many are you truly connected? And I don't mean getting an email every now and then, right? That's not a digital connection. I mean really connected, automated, without manual work, without all of those errors that you see every day. If you're like many organizations I meet every day, the number is shockingly low. Often we're only connected with the top 5 or 10 customers, but not with this very long tail of smaller ones. And that's where the costs sit, because all of those many smaller ones, they will create the errors and the manual work. So I think that is the challenge, right? That's a challenge we need to all go solve in our industry today. So that's also the challenge I would like to leave you with in this room. So don't leave here just with a bunch of inspiration and 2 nice days at an event, but really try to leave with a plan, a concrete action plan. I think it should start with connecting the outside. Think about your third-party logistics providers, your carriers, your suppliers, your customers. Connect the outside, for example, to our training partner manager, which makes it self-service. Then 2, govern the inside. So make sure that you can connect with your internal systems as well. Unify data, validate it, make sure you have all of those super highways into your core systems. Because then you can combine these 2 data flows to really enable intelligence. So make every system an AI-enabled resource. If you do these 3 things, I think you can really get from a state of experimenting with AI to real, tangible business outcomes. So I would say build your foundation, own your data, and trust your intelligence. If there are no questions, I would like to thank you very much for your time.